See, and we go live, and you immediately disappear. Hi, my name is Matthew. This is my father's car. Stitch, is that Stitch?
One of my cars. Yes, that would be Stitch.
Stitch, yes. My father names his cars. Ah, boy. Okay, so hi. Welcome to Standby for Action. As I said, my name is Matthew. This is my father, Shawn. We are a weekly talk show where we talk about Legendary Pants projects, and someday maybe something more. But first we got to actually have some shit to talk about before we can do that. So, last week we had intended to make a start of this by introducing both Project Arcana and Project 2050 on the video. However, we got so carried away with Project Arcana that we didn't actually make it to Project 2050. So it looks like our introductory remarks will be split amongst these two episodes. If you missed our first one, you can catch us previously in the YouTube playlist. I think YouTube's not linked on here, but it's YouTube/Legendary Pants, I think. Something like that. Search for Legendary Pants on YouTube, you'll find it. You can also search for Standby for Action, and you'll find it. That's how awesome we are. Right now we have, let's see, Dr. Pearl, that's my wife, and...
Hi, Mariah!
And Jason. Jason's with us again. So you know, Jason, so you can get prepped ahead of time, since you are our clearly our most loyal fan. We have a Discord set up now for this. So after the stream, when we're ready to take some questions, or rather after the primary chunk of the stream, when we're ready to take some questions and answers, you can actually voice chat us directly.
Cool.
Using that channel to get into the thing. And if you'd have a question or you'd like to talk to us directly, I can give you permission to enter the Standby for Action voice chat on Discord. I'll link that into the chat a couple of times through the stream. Just, you know, since you got some time now, while we're yapping away, just get in there, get yourself set up with Discord if you're not already, because we do require a verified email in order to chat, because we don't want to deal with bots.
Did you call it Discord?
Discord, Discord. It is too late for you to set that shit up. So you can fumble fuck with it when we finish. So, okay. Yes, go ahead and light up there, Dad. Give you some cancer. Nice dose before we get started here. I think part of the problem with your streaming, with your camera, is that you have so much smoke going by that, like, it's too much for the camera to handle.
That's an interesting theory. Especially because I don't do it so much on this stream, but there have been times when streaming, where I very specifically tried not to move too much so I wouldn't force too many updates.
See, we just lost him. Oh, we lost him. Oh, see, I blame the cancer. Okay, well, while we're waiting for him to show back up, which will be hopefully soon, let's just use this as a PSA against smoking. Really don't do it, kids. It's just not good for you. Oh, Andy's back. Can you hear me? Well, we can't hear you. Oh, it's just a carnival ride of fun and excitement here on Standby for Action. And he's gone again. So, this week, as I said, we're going to discuss Project 2050. Last week we spent a lot of time on Project Arcana, although, as Jason can attest in the post-chat, we ended up talking about 2050 quite a bit, too. I was hoping to have Dad introduce 2050 because he's got a pretty good handle on it, but given that he has disappeared, I will do that myself. So, oh, wait, did you just come back in good timing?
I did.
Oh, perfect timing. Go ahead and introduce Project 2050.
Okay, so Project 2050. Project 2050 is our attempt to add a cyberpunk elements and it's more modern and postmodern technology to a layer over 5e. The key thing being that we wanted to make it a gentle, like I said, a layering or onto 5e's existing rule set so that it was completely and fully compatible with any 5e rules that already exist. Really, any extant 5e rules should work with 2050.
Yes, the word that we are using is supplemental. The 2050 rule set is supplemental to Core 5e. So not only are they compatible, actually the Core 5e rules are required to be able to play 2050. Now, as I say in the source reference document that actually we posted today, you're not required to have the actual core source books. And I know that's an investment for some people, but they are recommended. However, the straight up 5e OGL rules will work for you. And actually, I'm gonna throw a link to the SRD into Twitch chat. Although I'm sure our loyal fan Jason has already seen it, and we all know that my wife doesn't care. So yes, we first had the idea for 2050 actually back when we were running Osric, because we both Dad and I are really big fans of cyberpunk as a genre. My first book was Neuromancer. I believe that was your Gibson, but maybe not Neuromancer. What was your first cyberpunk experience there, Dad?
I'm sorry, say that last sentence one more time.
What was your first cyberpunk experience? What got you into the genre?
Awesome. I actually literally remember the very first time I read cyberpunk. It was, I read...
yeah, you really remember
Johnny Mnemonic. Like, am I all right?
Yeah, you're good. Keep going.
Okay. William Gibson's Johnny Mnemonic, originally printed in Omni magazine, probably in had to be right around 1980, and it was like a punch in the face, going from the previous. The 70s era and prior to that, the kind of the golden and silver age science fiction I'd been reading, to something as raw and visceral as cyberpunk, as Gibson's flavor of cyberpunk was. Like I said, it was like a punch in the face.
Yeah, and Johnny Mnemonic, of course, made famous by Keanu Reeves, right?
Right, and they did take some of they hit the basic concepts. They expanded it in some places. Because Johnny Mnemonic was like a 20-page short story, bone style. So the movie wasn't bad. It wasn't exactly like the story, but it was all right. And plus, it had Dina Meyer in it, which is, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah, I actually don't know who that is. Probably because I'm not old enough.
She was. Did she play? She was in that terrible movie with
that terrible
that we saw. We saw it. And Mike and the guys were riffing it.
You're talking about Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers. She was in Starship Troopers. She was the redheaded girl.
Ah. And yes, you're correct. That was a terrible movie.
It was.
So, yes. So, anyways, for me, my first experience with cyberpunk was actually you, I was in high school, and you threw me a copy of Neuromancer and said, pretty much, read this, it's good shit. And, after that, it was the next inevitable step, which of course is Shadowrun, Snow Crash, which I don't know if you want to go into our credentials on Snow Crash.
We are the world's experts on Snow Crash.
We are the world's experts on Snow Crash. I must have read that book a dozen times by now. You and I have hammered out a pilot script that we're probably never going to actually do anything with. We wrote up a little card game for it. We fucking love that book.
Love that book.
Yeah, and really, so when we were playing Osric and we talked about like, man, I would love to run, a good Cyberpunk campaign. I took the time to look into Shadowrun again, although I had played it in college, and remembered that it's fucking awful. It's just one of the worst piles of shit I have ever played, as far as the rules are concerned. The world of Shadowrun is fantastic, and it's really a shame. I don't know how much have you played it all? I think you played back in Kansas City.
You did not like the books. You did, yeah, but you did not like the book.
No, the writing, how to deal with a dragon, because of the writing style, though. Not because of the world that was in it. Just the author was not good. Did you ever play Dad? I think you did back in Kansas City, right?
Yeah, we did a friend of mine ran a Shadowrun campaign. We ran for a few months, and then we just got. I can't remember where we got bogged down. We got bogged down rather badly somewhere and just could not. The campaign kind of fell apart.
Right, and that's actually pretty much my story with Shadowrun too. I played for a few months in a campaign in college, and the storytelling was great. I thought I was running a pretty good game. We were having fun with the environment and the hacking and the magic, but the rule system is just not good. So when we were looking into running a Cyberpunk game, you and I basically together said, we could make a set of rules for Osric, which is of course the old AD&D 1E system, only flavored for Cyberpunk, and we put a fair amount of work into that. That was back when I was working at we lost Dad. That was back when I was working at Vertical Screen, a company that I cannot stand, and was bored out of my freaking mind every day. So I basically had time to just sit and write up rules and gin tables and work math, and we put a lot of work into it. See, here's the problem. Here's the problem with Dad. The problem with Dad is not that his computer is terrible. The problem with Dad isn't even that his connection to his network is terrible. The problem is that he has several people in his house all streaming like 3 or 4 different things each at the same time, and they won't give him half an hour tonight. That's where this is coming from. And last week, by some Bermuda Triangle-esque stroke of miracle, he actually had a good shot through the pipes, but tonight is not one of those nights. We're gonna have to rig up a Shawn Stanford stand-in for next week, so that I've got something to show you while he's
back?
While he's freaking out. Yes, you are back.
So now let me ask you: when I drop, apparently the women are using all my internet tonight. Does my little token, my little icon come up?
Sometimes, but not. But so when your video drops before your actual connection drops, your icon will pop, but then it'll drop altogether.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I need an icon that says technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Actually, we're gonna use this as a stand-in for you, whenever you drop starting next week.
I can't see it, but I'll look later.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you don't have a camera. Oh, you'll have to remember this later. But Jason can see it. And then whenever I ask it a question, I'll shake it and it'll nod at me. It'll be perfect. So. Okay, so I was just explaining how I spent all my time at Vertical Screen working on Osric 2050. We dropped you again. So we put in all that work on Oscar 2050, and then eventually, I believe, we ended up stopping work on that project as other things in life came up. And then, a year and a half, 2 years later, I managed to quit my job, and am now doing this full time. So we leveraged our Ostrich 2050 information into what we're doing now, which is, of course, Project 2050, which is the working title for our rule set. Okay, well, he's not going to be reliably online. So, what exactly are we doing? We are, when we say we're trying to graft the rules onto the existing rules, basically what I want to make is the 5th edition game, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, only in a near future cyberpunk campaign setting. So what does that entail? That entails things like coming up with rules for weaponry that exist now but did not exist back in a fantasy medieval setting. Guns, tanks, rocket launchers, grenades, shit like that. Rules for... Hey, he's back.
Yeah, I actually did a warm restart on my computer, so hopefully that will... I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm currently detailing the components of what we're doing.
Oh, okay.
So I talked about the fact that we need to... a big part of it is updating the weapons for more modern weapons that don't exist in a fantasy setting, things like guns, tanks, grenades. We need to do computers, which frankly is your wheelhouse if you want to describe kind of what we're doing there.
Right now?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So when we say computers, we mean, and if you've read the documents that we've put out so far, when we say computers, we basically mean any digital device, any device that is basically controlled by microchips, which is frankly everything. Currently what they talk about as the Internet of Things, which is, your TV, your thermostat, your refrigerator. I mean, everything in your house connected to the internet. That's kind of in 2050. That has happened. It is a fully realized Internet of Things. And except for isolated situations where, for security reasons or whatever, people off a device or a subnetwork from the net, everything is connected to the net. So, in theory, you could go into a computer at your house and see what the thermostat setting is on a house in China, because they're connected to the net. And that even extends, at least in 2050, and I think in the concept of where the world is going right now today, to things like cars, grocery stores, really anything you can think of. And so being able to access computers is not only a powerful tool, it is a fundamental need in 2050.
Right. And one of the things that you mentioned there and that I really want to kind of emphasize is that everything in the world today is computerized. So you can only expect it to be more so in 33 years from now, 2050. So, right now, only a handful of percentage of cars are wired to the net through their computers. In 33 years, it's reasonable to expect that they all will be. That the exception will be a car that is not. Same is true of pretty much every appliance in your kitchen, except for maybe the toaster. But frankly, I bet there's already a smart toaster out there.
I'm sure there is.
I mean, hell, here in my house, I've got a smart thermostat. I've got the Nest, and I can control that thing from fucking anywhere in the world using the internet. So, this is a type of communication and kind of realm that, of course, fantasy medieval settings just don't need to deal with. They just don't need to worry about it. We're trying to keep the rules simple We're trying to keep them familiar. But these are the things we end up having to add. So when we talk about computers, we try to talk about them, and if you look in our articles, especially the last 3 of them, we try to talk about them in the kind of grander scope of the 5e rule set, and we're trying to add as few things as possible. But there are, of course, some changes that we do have to make.
Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be a fight. There's always a fight.
Actually, was it today or yesterday when you wanted to talk about you wanted to fight with me on navigating the net, and I told you that I didn't have any kind of invested interest in either direction on that, and you were sorely disappointed.
Well, and as I explained to you at the time, I wasn't disappointed because I didn't get to have a fight. I was disappointed because you had no better idea than I did.
Which is usually not true. Usually I'm the one with the better idea. I can say that. You walked into that one,
Is
asshole.
that what we're calling it?
By the way, I like the hat.
Thank you. Yeah. Everyone likes the hat.
So, and I will say that in one of the ways that, sorry, I'm helping Jason here. One of the ways that we, that Shadowrun rather, was clever and in some ways revolutionary, although I don't know that they were the first to do this. However, I suspect they were in terms of tabletop RPGs. Was the integration of magic into a modern day campaign. Previously, systems were either, sword and sorcery magic back in fantasy, and then I'm about to get stopped here. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying they touched it a little bit in later editions of D&D, like the editions that launched in the early 80s.
I did not know that because I'm not an old person like you.
I wouldn't say they invested too heavily in it, but it was there. And then, frankly, as we've discussed before, Gamma World was a futuristic setting, and really it was close enough in the rules to D&D that you could have easily integrated the two.
Really?
If that was your... Yeah.
Oh, well, I did not know that. Well, Shadowrun certainly popularized it, because I don't think I've heard of a setting quite as famous as Shadowrun. In that kind of modern fantasy or urban fantasy is what it's called, genre. But we are jumping into that genre with both feet. It's a fun concept. I've been a fan of it since shit. The first urban fantasy I read was, can you guess?
First urban I thought you just said it was Neuromancer.
No, urban fantasy. So magic plus like modern day setting.
Oh.
You gave it to me.
I'm sure I did.
Fucking Laurel K. Hamilton.
Oh, I did not give that to you.
Yes,
because
you
were too
did.
young to read that filthy shit.
Bullshit, man. I was in high school and you gave it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was before I had read even like Harry Potter or any of that shit.
Well, yeah. But yeah, that chick is sick and twisted.
However,
it just doesn't seem to have affected you at all.
No, I'm still happily married with a child. I think I've got a pretty wholesome life.
You didn't even have a girlfriend in high school, and very few in college.
I had some stalkers in college. Does that count?
Not exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Anyways, so I do enjoy a good urban fantasy. My favorites in recent days have been the Iron Druid Chronicles.
Yep.
Harry Potter's always a good times. Is always good times. Like I said, I tried to read Deal with a Dragon, didn't care for it, but Yeah, but again, the author was the issue there, not the setting. So I'm excited for 2050 because I do like to work in that kind of setting. I do. Jason said, "Wow, ellipses." I'm not even sure what he's
Wowing.
commenting on there. Yeah, this is probably embarrassing for me. I'm excited to run 2050 campaigns. I'm excited to play in 2050 campaigns, and actually, to that end, we are going to be doing a playtest with the two of us as well as the other members of your household starting in July. Which should be pretty good. Do you have like how fleshed out is your character on that?
Oh my god.
See, my goal is to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, you'll need to remind me to put a little time in on that because oh my god.
All right, so you're creating what sounds like a paladin, I think. Did you say he was going to use
right?
swords?
Yeah, I'm gonna run a paladin.
And part of what we're doing for that playtest and for the 2050 like core rules when we're ready to release those is a setting, and we are going to leverage Earth as the basis of our setting, because frankly it's got familiar themes, familiar settings, familiar areas to people. But it also lets us do more of the creative work in the world rather than all of the bullshit history that no one gives a shit about.
Right.
Having created homebrew campaigns for many years now, and having written detailed histories of some depth and others, I gotta tell you, it sucks when you play a game and no one actually gets to see any of it.
Yes.
Your players, you come up with a 14-page backstory on the nobles of some town, and your players say, "Nah, we don't want to stay in this town. We're gonna go into the woods. Fuck that guy."
I have literally had that happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was that with you in the door or whatever the fuck?
That's true. That was one part of it, but that actually was not what I was thinking. Back in the Kansas City group, I had like this whole thing set up. And they took the left fork instead of the right fork. Although I clearly wanted them to go down the right fork, but they were just like, "No, fuck you."
No, you can't. Like, you can't let them know
okay.
what you want them to do, or they're definitely not going to do it. That's DMing 101 right there. So, anyways, using Earth as a basis, as a foundation, lets us leverage that kind of historical knowledge that players already have to great advantage. Let's see. We're running up on 9:30 here. Is there anything else you wanted to point out there, Dad, before we start taking questions?
At this point, no, I don't think so. We have not a lot. We have, I would say, a significant amount of rule building to do with regards to our core concepts, mainly the digital realm. It'll happen. We just need to fight about it.
Yeah, well, as long as I'm going to be willing to fight you. As I said, our SRD is up. I'll put a link in the YouTube notes, as there is one in the Twitch chat.
What does SRD stand for?
Source reference document.
Thank you.
And everything up on that SRD online is OGL. I have it licensed as such. So, if you like what you see, go play with it, go toy with it, go tweak it, make changes. But there's also a link to give us feedback on that. So you can let us know how it worked out for you. Let us know what failed. Let us know what worked. Let us know what you liked. And that feedback gets mailed directly to my cell phone, so I get to see it immediately and all the time. So even if you just want to tell me to have a nice day, that'd be nice. That'd be a nice validation once in a while. So, all right. Well, that'll do us for our main program here. We do this every Tuesday night, starting at 9 o'clock EST here in the American East Coast. So let's do our plugs. We're on Twitter at legendary_pants, Facebook at Facebook/legendarypants. Our main website, of course, is legendarypants.net, and on YouTube at legendarypants. Come check us out everywhere. Come read our articles. Come give us feedback. Come play test our shit. We need people to actually start working these numbers and seeing how they work. There's only so much math that the two of us can do. Aside from that, like I said, we're here every Tuesday night from 9 to 9:30 talking about this stuff. After 9:30, we're going to take questions from Twitch chat and from Discord. So if you have any questions for us, just come on by and hang out. So that'll do it for me. And Dad, you want to say goodbye there?
See ya.
All right, and we'll talk to you later.
Deuces.